All right.
All right. That's my line.
Oh, okay.
What's going on, everybody? It's me, your boy Matt, aka Minced Piles, aka your fucking god. And this is what is this? I think this is going to be the 4th Lucrative Degeneracy podcast ever.
Nice.
And very happy to be joined here by Mr. Rob Gonzalez, multi-talented local musician, guitar player for bands such as Unhinge, Dutchguts and Sunrot. Rob, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
Hanging tough, man. Hanging tough, you know.
Yeah, it's a weird time, but you know.
It is. How have you actually been coping with quarantine? Like, I want to know the good, the bad. Like, are you coping well, or do you think you've pretty much like lost your mind at this point?
I don't think I've lost my mind. I'm coping pretty well to it. It's actually kind of nice because I'm not obligated to do anything, and that's a very nice thing to have. Since I'm such a busy guy, I work at the grocery store that I work at, and then I balance that out with fixing guitars for local musicians and stuff. But other than that, I just work all the time. Not much. It's been okay. So
Very nice. Very cool.
yeah.
So you said you fix guitars like for a living. Like, do you do that for a company, or do you just kind of like do that on the side?
I just do
it.
Yeah, I just do that on the side. I like had an interest in it when I was in like my early 20s, and I took a couple classes with Tom Doyle, and he's the guy that taught Les Paul everything that he knows.
Oh wow.
And I just started like studying it by myself, and like taking guitars apart and everything, and just like learning how to do it on my own. So me and Steve from Dutchguts, we both run a little business out of the meat locker called Meat Locker Repair and Replace. But I mean, obviously right now it's not really existing, but that is something that I do on the side. I still do it and everything. I just do it at my house now. So
that's awesome, man. That's really cool.
Thank you.
So you are a guitar player. You're also a vocalist, right? You're the vocalist for Unhinge.
One of them.
Oh, okay. How did you actually get into playing music?
I started at a pretty early age. My parents were, my mom especially, she was always into music. They were always playing stuff like I think Queen was probably the first rock band I got into. But they were playing all different types of music, and I think I started playing saxophone at 8 years old.
Oh wow.
Then when I was about 11, that's when I got a guitar, and yeah, I just kept at it. It was just something for me to do, because I just like wasn't very good at a whole lot of things. I just wasn't. I had skateboarding, but that's about it. But I just started just by myself, and I had friends that we were all into music and everything, and other friends that would play, and I would jam with whoever I could at the time. And and since I started picking up guitar and everything, I haven't stopped. I'm still doing it at 30 years old. So
nice.
Yeah.
So did you ever take any lessons, or did you kind of teach yourself, or learn more like just kind of through jamming with friends, or like how did you
It was I took lessons for the first for the first 2 or 3 years of playing guitar, which was really cool. I had 2 different guitar teachers. I forget their names, but they were both really cool guys, and they were both very open with whatever I would bring to them that I would want to learn. And then, when I wasn't at my guitar lessons, I was really home and just learning guitar on my own. And like, if I wasn't out with any of my friends, it's because I was playing guitar, and I would just do that like all the time. So I think just my fascination of keeping up with doing that and hopefully progressing in the future was what really motivated me to just like keep playing and playing and playing. So I'd say it's a mix of both.
Nice. Very nice. So you're actually in 3 different local bands here in New Jersey. You're in Unhinge, Dutchguts, and Sunrot. Now, Unhinged, from what I've been able to gather, from what I've listened to, you know, you guys are mainly grindcore with, like, I think a hint of black metal influence here and there. You know, Dutchguts is a little more like on the sludge, almost like hardcore kind of side, and Sunrot is a little more like doomy kind of sludge. We'll actually get a little more into that later. But point is, your playing style is so diverse. You play all these different styles. What made you want to pursue all of them as opposed to sticking to just one?
I think just because, you know, like I said, when I was growing up and learning how to play and everything, I was always just so fascinated with music, and it was just like, it was my escape. And so whatever I listened to and everything, like, it had such an impact on me. So I would always try and listen to whatever I could get my hands on. Cause like when I was growing up, the internet wasn't like that big of a thing, you know, that's like the age of MySpace and when you would download songs. But, you know, but because of that, since that was such a big thing that was happening, that was starting to happen, I was able to download all this music and just listen to whatever I wanted. But at the same token, whenever I would get like an allowance, I would usually just spend it on a CD, and I would listen to the crap out of that CD. Even if I like didn't really like it, I would always try to see if there was like something in there that I did like about it. So I think it was just like I had such a diverse exposure to everything that was happening during that time, and just like listening to older stuff. Like, you know, my mom was a big rock fan, so that's how I got exposed to, like, you know, like Janis Joplin and the Beatles and Zeppelin and Queen and all these bands. And then on my own, I had my friends that we were all into punk. So, you know, we were listening to Black Flag and stuff. And then, but we also like metal a lot, and we were also fond of hip hop and all that kind of stuff. So it was almost like whatever we could like get our hands on, you know, like we would listen to it. And I think just like having that whole, like all those different genres and bands, like it had such an impact on me that I didn't want to limit what I was doing. You know, I wanted to explore more about, you know, the types of genres I was doing and learn that on guitar and try to, you know, bring that to whatever band I would want to play in. I don't think like I have a certain genre I'm like completely fond to, but I think with my 3 bands, those are the genres that really like impacted me the most, I think, as a kid. So that's why I continue to pursue that. And I think also if you're playing in bands or just doing music or some sort of art form, you're supposed to, you know, completely engulf yourself in that. And that's what I did. I like engulfed myself in music. It was my escape. So whenever I was able to listen to whatever or play my guitar or whatever, I would do it. And also like when I was younger, I played in a punk band called BDG, and I got introduced to a bunch of other bands that way. And then as I got older, I was getting into different scenes and looking at different bands and going to shows and stuff. So I just loved all of it. So I think that's why that like shows that since I play in 3 bands that are completely different from each other. And yeah, so I like heavy music too. So, yeah,
that was like fantastic. Yeah, that's amazing. So the answer to this next question should be pretty interesting, considering the fact that you have had this like such a diverse range of music shown to you like throughout the years of your life. Who are some of your biggest influences on your playing?
So for me, I mean, yeah, like I said, I got exposed to so many different bands, so many different genres, like punk and metal were definitely like the ones that I would listen to the most. But I guess if in terms of bands, probably my number one is Pig Destroyer, just because I discovered that band at such a young age, and they were definitely like a whole turnover to what I was listening to, because I never like I guess besides Napalm Death, they're like the first grind band I listened to. And when I listened to Terrifier for the first time, I was just like completely fucking blown away. And yeah, I think just like from Scott Hull's guitar playing and JR's vocals and Blake's noise, and you had and just like the drummers and like everything about that band I just absolutely love, because they also don't really limit themselves. Like, they are a grind band, but their songs are catchy as shit, and that's awesome. Like, even if you're not into like grind, I think you can see anybody getting the Pig Destroyer because they're just catchy. They got like a rock feel to it, and they got some blues stuff, and then they got like the sludge and the noise. I think like for me, it was just like it was nothing I ever heard before, but yet they had like all these genres put into one, and that's like crazy. That was like crazy to me, So I think Pig Destroyer would be like, my number one. But I'm also a big fan of Black Flag. I like Nausea a lot. I like this band called F minus a whole lot when I was growing up. But yeah, I don't know. That's pretty much it. Like, I could go on and on about how many bands I was listening to, but I guess I'd say like those 4 bands were probably the biggest influence on me. I also listen to a lot of blues artists and stuff like that, but like I said, that's like I could go on and on about that. I don't want to waste your time.
Fantastic, man. Awesome. So let's talk a little more about your bands. I want to know about the history of each one. Like, how did you guys meet? How did you guys like get your start? Give me basically just the rundown of each band.
So Sunrot started in 2013, I think. I was playing a show at the Meat Locker with my old band Furnace Head, and Chris, the other guitarist, he was playing in his old band Theroya, and Lex was at the show, and we were both friends with Lex, and they just came up to us and was like, "You want to start a band?" And we said yes. So we were really stoked about that. At first, we thought it was just going to be like a side project, because the other bands we were in, we were already really committed to, and we were already doing it for maybe like a year or two. But Sunrock kind of like hit the ground running, which was something we did not expect to happen. Just like once we started playing shows, we just kept playing shows, and then throughout that, we just kept at it and kept doing it. Eventually, our other bands fell apart, and we just ended up just doing Sunrot all the time. And then the rest is history. Dutchguts has always been Dan's thing. Dutchguts has been around for a very long time. My old band BDG opened up for them at the Meat Locker when I was 18 or something like that, 19, and that was the first time I saw them, and I love them. They've always been one of my favorite local bands, and I joined the band 5 years ago. I was in New Orleans actually, and Dan texted me and asked me to join, and I was really excited about it. But like I said, that's a little more of Dan's thing. Like, he'd have more of a say of what like the history of the band is and what it's about and everything. And then Unhinge is like, that's like the band I've been trying to start since I was like 18, because like a lot of my friends that I grew up with, they were into like, we were all into a lot of the same music, but I only had like maybe 1 or 2 friends that was into like death metal as much as me, or grindcore or any of that. So I couldn't really find the right players to do that kind of music. Mm-hmm. So so I just kind of played with whoever I could at the time. But I finally started Unhinge with my buddy Tyler, and it was just the two of us at first, and then we recruited Dylan to play drums, and that's when it really started to, go. And then we later recruited Mallory. And yeah, we just started playing shows just like whenever we could, especially because we were such a fresh band. But yeah, so, oh yeah.
Awesome. Very nice.
Yeah.
So Dutchguts actually released a new album a couple of months ago called 10 Years of Neglect. So I want to know, like, with titles like I Quit, Salvation Through Self-Medication, and this might be my favorite, Grape. Like, so what can you tell us about this album? Like, what was your main source of inspiration for this one?
Well, I think the main source was just Dutchguts being a band for so long that, we haven't gone anywhere or done anything that's like big, I guess, in a sense. We've all, like, Dutchguts has always been like that underground band, and Dan has always had like that idea of just like, he wants to be in the underground. And I think, that was a title that he was like working on for a while and everything. And going in and doing that album did feel great. For me, I was excited because it was like the first full length of a Dutchguts album that I was finally on. Plus, like, those songs are, I know those songs so well, and it was nice to finally properly record those songs. So it was fun. It was a good time. Like, we went to God City in Massachusetts, Kurt Ballew's studio. We were there. We did it in 2 days. We got recorded by this dude, Chris Johnson. I think he's from Deaf Heaven. He's like the bass player, I think.
Oh, wow.
He did an awesome job. Did the whole thing in 2 days, live tracked everything, except for vocals. And yeah, it was just a good time. We just hung out, just worked, did it, in and out. It was great. It was a lot of fun.
Nice. So one thing,
songs that's more of a Dan question.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'd be able to elaborate a lot more on Dutchguts than I can. So yeah, I'm just here for the ride,
I should get Dan on here one day. Then that would be cool.
You should, yeah. Ask him.
Yeah. So one of the things that I've been dying to know about Unhinged is whenever you guys play at the Meat Locker, you always set up your equipment in the middle of the floor and not on the stage where the band fucking belongs. So my question to you, sir, is why?
I think we just did that. Like, I remember Dylan was saying we should just play in the middle of the stage, and I was like, yeah, fuck it, whatever. And we just kept doing that. We don't do that at other shows we play. We play on the stage or we play against the wall. I think at the Meat Locker, it's just like that's like home turf. So
because you work there, you can do whatever the fuck you want.
I guess so, right? It's also like, I think when bands do that kind of stuff, it's more fun. It's more interesting to watch them. And I think, we like being with the crowd, because the kind of music we play, it's very visceral and it's very intimate, and I think being in the middle of all of that with the people, like, it's fun. I like being, I think it's just like a cool thing to do, but we don't do that all the time. So
that's interesting because the very first time I ever saw you guys live was at the Meat Locker, and it was my first ever time at the Meat Locker.
Oh, okay.
And like Mallory was setting up her equipment, and I'm like, why are you guys setting up in the middle of the floor? And I think she answered with something to the tune of, because we like to make things difficult for everybody. And I'm like, fair enough.
That's a better answer than what I just said.
Amazing.
We like to make people uncomfortable by being close to them, like, hey, what's up?
Yeah. My
Please
brother
and
Me and my brother were there when we first saw you guys when you played with Sarcoptic Mange, and when you guys went on, like we were kind of like shoved into like the back corner by like
right.
the drum kit, and I mean like I think like some of the guys from Sarcoptic were still able to like just crowd kill people. Like I'm pretty sure.
I think I remember that show.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a while ago. Yeah, of course.
Last year, I think.
Try to fucking crowd kill people. It's fucking stupid.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you know, like it's not something that we do all the time. I think just at the locker we like to do that, and plus, like it's just faster. And plus, like with Unhinge, there's a lot happening when it comes, especially when it comes to vocals. So sometimes we have to look at each other too, or like, you know, that helps as well. But yeah, you know, I like Mallory's answer.
Fantastic.
Nah, I'm gonna go with that one.
So, Sunrot, you guys describe yourselves as compulsive post-noise power sludge. What the fuck is that?
I was actually talking with them last week about this. It's mostly a joke. It's just us kind of like just ripping on genres, because I think in today's age, like not just with metal, but just with music in general, there's just so many different kinds of music out there, and there's so many bands like mixing all these genres and making it into one. And I think it's like, you know, it's like funny when you try to hear somebody explain a certain band and they're like, it sounds like this, but it also sounds like this and that. So I think it's just like, it's our take on genres as far as that goes. But there are things about what we say are like true. We are a bit compulsive when it comes to the noise aspect of the band, and also the music as well. It's like, you know, when we play, we just want to be pummeling the whole time. Like we don't want to give the crowd like too many breaks or anything.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes when, you know, and it's just like, it just organically flows very easily with all of us, and that comes out in the music. And I think there's this, there's really just like this tension in Sunrot that we can all feel, and we like bringing that tension to when we play, because tension is everything, you know, like even if you're not playing music, it's like it's surrounded by us. And I think that's how we try to bring it out in our band, by making these heavy riffs and you know, having this noise aspect to it be completely surrounded. And yeah, you know, it's really like a tension thing when it comes to that. I mean, we definitely are, like, we're obviously a sludge band, and we got some post stuff going on and everything, but it's really just like, I guess in a sense, it's like sort of personal too, you know, so.
Very nice. I love it. So if you could only be part of one of these bands for the rest of your life, which would you choose and why?
You just had to ask me that question, bud.
Had to. Anytime I have somebody on here that's in more than one band, I gotta ask, which would you rather pick?
It's fair. It's honestly, it's actually really hard for me to answer that. I think because all my bands, they're like almost an extension of my personality, and, you know, and everything I do in my bands, I always give 110%. And, I mean, I know with Unhinge that, like, you know, I love grindcore. I've always loved it. I'm happy I'm in a band, finally in a grind band that, with awesome people, and I love the music we make. I guess like that band is definitely more of an extension of my personality, in a sense too. But like I said before, with Dutchguts and Sunrot, it's definitely an extension of my personality as well. It's just different places. You know, a lot of different feelings that are happening within every band.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, man. That's like really tough. Like honestly, I could really pick any one of them, and I'd be happy with either one. Either ones I would pick. You know, if I had, if I had to be in Sunrot for the rest of my life, then all right, let's do it. Like I'm down. You know, like, and plus I don't think, like even if I was just in one band, that's gonna stop me from making another fucking band or something. You know, I'm probably gonna just make something else. You know what I mean? So yeah, I love them all.
That was actually a really cool answer. Like the other people I've had on here that are in more than one band, and I asked them which would you rather pick. They'll say, "Oh, I would probably pick this one because so and so, the other one is just a side project or whatever." But
Right.
that's so fantastic about like how all of these bands, like you said, like are extensions of your personality. They mean so much to you. You could pick either one and be happy with it. I love that. That's
Definitely.
fucking amazing.
I think like, there's nothing wrong with doing side projects or not, not putting as much passion into certain bands, especially if you're just doing it for fun and everything. I totally get the aspect of it, but I think for me, it's just like I'm in this shit and this is like what I do and this is what I love to do. So I have to, embrace everything about it. And I think, and plus like, I think it's also good for, I think it's good for musicians to expand, within, their genre, with like outside of their genres and everything. I don't think you should limit yourself as a musician. I mean, obviously if you have a band or a genre that you enjoy and that's what you want to do, then that's cool. But I think all musicians should definitely experiment with, genres if they want to. But
amazing.
They're all cool.
Absolutely amazing. So with all of these bands that you're in and everything else that you have going on, what is your main goal as a musician and an overall human being?
Well, that's a good one. Well, I think, music's my passion. I love it. I constantly think about it. I think my main goal, I guess, with all my bands or just being a musician is relieving tension from everyday life and, problems that I faced in my childhood or in my adult life and things that bother me or make me angry. And, you need that release as a person, whether it's you playing music or whether it's you riding your bike in the park or whatever, like it works for whoever. But I think for me, my ultimate goal is just to create art that not only I enjoy, but that other people can also enjoy. And, and so I can also, I guess like, yeah, no. Now went blank on that one for a sec. Sorry. I think really just my goal. Yeah. It's just to make music that I love and have that be a reflection of who I am and what I like and what I believe in. And that's something that, you can't take away from me. And I feel like, everybody, when it comes to if they're passionate about it and just the fact that they can do it is just enough drive. There's like a romantic feeling about pursuing what you love to do, especially if it's an art form of any kind. It's trying to find that happy balance between everything in your life that you do. So I think, expressing that through really loud amps and heavy riffs is exactly what I need in my life to pursue that. So to pursue that sort of happiness that I wish to continue doing until I'm, 70 maybe, or maybe not. I don't know, but yeah.
That was beautiful. That was beautiful. I love that. All right, man. I think that's about it. Any last words before I let you go?
No, but thank you for having me.
Of course, man. It was a pleasure. Loved it. All right.
Cool.
For Lucrative Degeneracy Productions, Rob Gonzalez, thank you so much for being here. I'm Mince Piles. I'm your fucking god. We'll catch you at the next one.